The bustling city of Balmora, the famed second city of Ardenfell, where the trade of the Hlaalu ebbs and flows down the Odai River. For many, Balmora is the city they call home. Its guilds, services, and quests make it an ideal hub for would-be adventurers, and a perfect base of operations for exploring the wider world of Morrowind. Consequently, Balmora has always been the subject of countless housing mods. And indeed, it is arguably Morrowind's hottest housing market. From large, grandiose manors to humble apartments and flats, to underground hideaways and simple, cozy little homes, Balmora's real estate offers just endless variety to suit the tastes of any or all who have chosen, or been chosen, to relocate to one of Morrowind's finest urban centers. And today, we'll be taking a look at just a handful of those delightful urban abodes as we try and find the best player home for your character. And more specifically, we'll be taking a look at some of the newer player homes, just released over the last few years. So, let us begin! Our first player home is the modest and delightfully scenic Balmora Stoneflower House, a BCom home by Innie. Located at the foot of the Manor District and right next to the Balmora Temple. This charming two-story abode includes a lovely outdoor garden and a second-story balcony offering some just sweeping views of the Odai. And not to mention some outdoor seating, where you can just relax with a cup of tea or a pint of brew on those particularly sweltering evenings. A smaller dwelling, a Stoneflower House consists of 3 multi-purpose rooms, including a kitchen, a dining nook, a bedroom, a study, a downstairs pantry, and a tiny little storage space, in addition to, of course, a foyer and an entry hall. Now, the ground floor is composed of a small foyer that branches between a stairwell leading to the second story and an entry hall that leads back to the kitchen, dining room, and basement cellar. Lining the hall, you'll find a number of potted flowers that just add a little color to this charming abode, as well as a set of cabinets for storage. Like any lived-in home, the kitchen is the heart of this Hlaalu villa. A warm and cozy space with a roaring oven, a small counter for preparing food, and an atmospheric dining nook and lounge. This is the room you'll be taking your meals in, and it is appropriately furnished with all the amenities that you could need. Upstairs, you'll find the master bedroom, a study and shelves for storing and displaying items. The master bedroom includes a sizable and comfortable mattress, with a hearth to keep you warm on those cold nights. A desk, table, and shelves round out the space. A writer's nook that could be used for writing letters, or perhaps performing a bit of alchemy on the fly. The basement cellar includes a pantry for the kitchen, containers to use to store ingredients, and a wine rack for those select beverages that you choose to keep. In the back is a tiny treasure vault with chests and shelves for you to use to store your most valued possessions. The containers in this player home are both empty and safe for you to use, storing a max of 200 pounds each. And the player home itself is free. Just walk on in and claim it as your own. You won't find a better deal in this housing market. While it provides no means of fast travel and no teleport amulet for you to use, it is conveniently located right next to the Balmora Temple. And so, an Almisfi intervention will always bring you close to home. The home itself is designed for, and indeed requires, beautiful cities of Morrowind, one of the few Balmora player homes that has native support for that popular mod. And for the adventurer just looking for a charming, cozy place to put up their hat, it is an ideal abode. But moving on, from modest cottage to starter flat, we travel across the Odai to the home of Caius Casades, and Caius' rooftop renovations by Judeus and Teo. A simple flat atop the home of the spymaster Caius Casades. This apartment, while small, it provides rooftop access with outdoor seating, vertical gardens, and a panoramic view of Balmora. A vista that more than makes up for this home's otherwise very, very tiny setting. Technically, this home is free. You can gain access to this abode by simply reporting to Caius Casades. And this lovely dwelling includes a bedroom, a display and storage hall, a library, and of course, a foyer. Now, technically speaking, this is actually just a one-room abode. All those features are part of an open-air floor plan that just happens to be constrained to a very, very tiny living space. But it is, a very cozy living space, richly detailed and decorated with lots of warmth and atmosphere. And it's not lacking in amenities either, for you'll find a modest bit of storage with typical container capacities, and while it doesn't have a proper bed per se, you can use the cushions to rest if you so desire. It is a perfect little starter home for the adventurer just starting out in the big city. But for those looking for something just, a little more established, this next home provides space in spades for your next travel to the hillsides outside of Balmora, where a mansion awaits a worthy owner with Nerevar's House Mod Deluxe by Under Sun and Sky. A sizable estate with a commanding view of Balmora and the Odai River Valley, Nerevar's house is the largest of the homes that we'll be taking a look at here today. An imperial-style villa, it comes with walled gardens, outdoor dining, a rooftop viewing platform, and an overall dripping sense of luxury that borders on the ostentatious. Inside, this lavish estate provides a number of rooms for every occasion. A dining room, a kitchen, a luxurious lounge, a forge and smithy, a grand display hall and treasure vault, a library and reading nook, a study and alchemical laboratory, a master bedroom, a shrine, a pantry, servants' quarters, storage, and more. Entering this abode, on the ground floor, you'll find an open-air living space, with the kitchen and dining room, the heart and hearth of the home, together on one side of the main entry hall. Cozily adorned and decorated, a counter separates the kitchen from the dining room, allowing you to talk to your guests as you chef away in the kitchen. On the other side of the entry hall, you'll find the lounge, a warmly lit space surrounding a roaring fireplace, with a sofa and padded chairs to give you and your guests a comfortable little nook to sit back and have an after-dinner respite. Separated from the main house by the central stairwell, the ground floor is also home to a forge and workshop, where an enterprising craftsman can work on their projects, or just, store their tools if they so desire. Connected to both the kitchen and workshop, the basement of this abode provides an immense storage and display hall, capable of holding the treasures of countless conquests, with row upon row of tables ready to serve as the bearers of the loot from a dozen dungeons, and numerous chests aside, capable of storing vast quantities of gear. Indeed, the chests here have a nigh near infinite storage capacity. A single chest could probably hold every item in the game, allowing you to organize and store everything just exactly as you'd like. This storage hall even has a scripted display rack, allowing you to store some of the legendary artifacts of Tamriel, only for them to immediately appear upon the walls. Far above the storage halls, up on the second floor, one can find the private quarters of this abode, including a modest but very cozy library, lined with book-filled shelves and atmospheric and warm lighting, and plenty of lavish seating options for just sitting back and enjoying a good book. Nearly every book in the game can be found here, including nearly every skill book, which might be just a little bit unbalancing, since, this alone will allow you to level up several times. Now, across the hall from the library is the alchemical laboratory, where you can conduct all sorts of experiments with a full set of alchemical equipment, ingredient jars for storing and organizing your alchemical reagents, and a book on the useful properties for various types of potions. This even comes with special containers for storing potions with nigh near infinite capacity. And, of course, no private quarters would be complete without a master bedroom. And Enervar's house mod is no exception, for you'll find a richly ornate bedroom complete with a king-size bed, bay windows overlooking the gardens below, a writing desk, couch, a shelf of books for nighttime reading, and of course a walk-in closet for all your attire and clothing accoutrements. Beyond the rooms of this sizable manor, there's also a number of other convenience features, including a teleport amulet for taking you home at any time, fast travel maps for traveling across Vardenfell, Solstein, and Mournhold, and additional transportation options for any number of coastal and inland cities. The house comes with a servant who can provide just every service imaginable, from enchanting to repairing to spellmaking, and 10,000 bartering gold. She also has some unique dialogue and a quest related to the previous owner. This player home is free, however, and is, very obviously very, very cheaty. There's all sorts of overpowered loot, from a new set of Dark Ordinator armor with max armor ratings, to weapons worth thousands of gold, to virtually every book in the game, and quite a bit more besides. This home is intended for players who have finished the main quest. But even so, prospective residents are advised to just keep the potential unbalanced nature of this mod in mind. Now, just moving back into the heart of Balmora itself, we next have Balmora Sindrain Manor by Ystraz, a lovely little villa right on Balmora's Market Square, next to the Siltstrider Port. A classic two-story Hlaalu abode, Sindrain Manor provides convenient access to the shops and travel networks of Balmora. Sindrain Manor, while bigger than many of the homes that we've looked at today, is only a mid-sized residence, one that includes an entry hall, dining room, library, storage room, a downstairs kitchen and parlor, and of course a master bedroom. The majority of this home can be found on the ground floor, with a spacious open-air design that combines the dining room, foyer, library, and storage room into one large space, with a handful of wall screens to modestly hide the storage room from the more public areas of the ground floor. Tastefully lit and decorated, the ground floor here provides a fair bit of space for players to add their own furniture, if they so desire, while also offering empty bookshelves for them to fill, and a handful of containers with a custom storage capacity, capable of holding 1,000 pounds each. A decent, but not overwhelming amount. Going downstairs, the basement is home to the kitchen and parlor. A delightfully cozy space, including a bar where you can entertain your friends, companions, and guests. The central fresco it really pulls this space together, and on the raised dais you'll find a handful of alchemical equipment, including a Grandmaster's mortar and pestle. The only piece of, kind of questionably overpowered loot that you'll find in this abode. Up to the master bedroom now, found on the second story, this manor comes with a king-size bed, a couple of nightstands, a writing desk and closet, and all in all, it is a very cozy, very spacious home that gives a potential homeowner just plenty of room to add their own furnishings. It is conveniently just right next to the Siltstrider port, but otherwise provides no actual fast travel options. Lastly, and not too far away from Cindrain Manor, you'll find our last player home on the outskirts of Balmora, just along the Odai. Odai River Hideout by Belligerent may not be too much to look at from the outside, being as it is simply just a trapdoor in the ground. But it hides a rather unique abode for those looking for something just a little less conspicuous in Balmora's booming housing market. Below the rather plain exterior, this home provides a series of cavern chambers for more subterranean residents, including, naturally, a bedroom, storage areas, underground fungal gardens, a mixed alchemy lab and library, and an underground waterfall for bathing. A technically mid-sized abode, the entry cavern here opens up into a bit of a storage area, with crates and barrels, before dividing off into two directions. An underground waterfall and pond, and a longer cavern just atmospherically detailed with ferns, coat of flowers, and various mushroom growths, providing a scenic garden that leads into the main chamber, this just unique player home. The main part of this abode consists of a covered platform divided into two rooms. The alchemical laboratory, library, and a bit of mixed storage, just all to one side, and a bedroom on the other. There's a lovely usage of lighting here, with a set of basic alchemical equipment providing just the perfect little residence for a thief, or perhaps an aspiring assassin. While not, perhaps the best place to bring company, it is just a charming hole in the ground, and, although it includes no fast travel options, it is still near the Balmora Siltstrider port. It is worth noting that this cavernous player home comes with just a bit of a background story, as well as a bit of loot, as many of these containers do actually contain miscellaneous items, and, otherwise have just fairly typical storage capacities. But that's our last player home for today. Balmora is a thriving market, and we've only covered a handful of the available options for prospective home buyers. But perhaps you found a property that suits your needs. If not, do tune in next time for when we take a look at one of the up-and-coming markets on Vardenfell, the sleepy little farming village of Plesiad. But until then, as always, download links are just right down below. And real quick, I would just like to take a moment to thank our patrons, including Ascetic JMac, Alexos, Area 5/Symbol Billy Fighter, Carter Canterbury, Kiwi, Cyprinius, Danae, Daliant, Danina, Dennis418, Exovian, Yame Alcazo Castornau, Julian, Corridor, Langastier, Lord Brenny, Macbone, Melchior Dark, Moolord, Michael, Mr. the Joshman, Null Cascade, Old Navy Twidget, Operator Jack, Port Q's, Povio Holo, Raven Talon, Arfuso, Rissalith, Sand Gentleman, Shadow Banished Wine, Shooter, Supercat, Stiff Kitten, Telvani with 1,000 nicknames, Tezrel, Two-Time Trollroot, Tara Rain, Voot Tot, and Xero Fox. If you'd like to join them, check out our rewards, including early access, behind-the-scenes content, and access to polls to decide what kind of content we showcase. Visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/MorrowInModding. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay safe, stay healthy, happy modding, and I'll see you all next time.